What follows now is one of the micro-teach sessions from my Substack, which, as you know, I was forced to move to due to the YouTube demonetization. Occasionally, I will put up one of these for everybody. I did one recently, but here's another look at one of them that I think you might find interesting and asks you a number of questions. And then I expect you to put some comments in and tell me what you think, whether I'm right or whether I'm wrong. The vast majority of my work will now be on Substack, but it's only 8p a day. At the moment, it's on offer at £30 for the year. So if you do wish to receive more content like this on a regular basis, and you would very much like to help support me keep going, which is the most important thing, I'm about 40% of my target to get back where I was. So if you can subscribe for the year, please do so. Links as necessary in the doobries. All right. So other than that, I hope you find this something worth thinking about. The subject, safeguarding, is such an important one. Thank you very much for all your support. And tell me in the comments what you think. I'll see you later. Bye-bye. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another mini teach. Something else for your consideration today. We live in strange times, and I sometimes have a job getting my head around things. So this is probably the best idea, is to get it on some sort of presentation and then throw it out to you lot to consider and tell me whether you think I'm right or wrong. So let's get started. Welcome. This is about the individual versus the collective. It's about safeguarding, which is about children and vulnerable adults, psychological issues such as mental illness or condition in the individual, and then prevent issue, which is the UK Counter-Terrorism and Extremist Unit, who have recently updated their guidance as of 2024, and it makes for a very interesting read. Now, I, like you, am concerned about gender identity ideology, and we seem to be or are stuck on exactly what that looks like and how it affects both the individual and the collective. So let's take a look. Let's begin with the individual. Well, all sorts of people can say I'm trans. I'm still of the opinion that we do not have a definition for what trans means. But for a moment, let's put that aside, because I think we need to look at that as a separate issue from gender identity ideology. Somebody says I'm trans, right, okay, get on with it. That's my general thinking. Now, the problem then becomes what happens if a child says I'm trans? And what then happens, because we know about children, we know what's happened with puberty blockers being blocked, and we've shut the front door on that effectively by utilising the great work of Dr. Cass. But then what happens when somebody says this child is trans? Well, there are a number of perspectives to view this from, and I've chosen three. The first one being the most important, because that is the first one that we should always use, which is the safeguarding lens. So I'm asking the question, is it a safeguarding issue? Is it a psychological issue? Or is it a prevent issue? That's interesting in itself, in that what it's asking of you is, if somebody says I'm trans, do you think it's an issue? One or more of those issues? Well, because we don't have a collective, a definitive answer as what trans is, then it makes it very difficult to decide whether it's a safeguarding issue or not. When it comes to safeguarding, there only needs to be the suspicion it might be for safeguarding to be brought into place, in which case I'm trans, which can include fetishists, paraphiliacs, and everybody else along the way, including children in great distress, then it has to be, by nature, a safeguarding issue. So we're giving that one a tick. Well, is it a psychological issue? Well, it obviously is. It always has been. So we're giving that one a tick. But is it a prevent issue? Is somebody saying I'm trans? Does that make them some kind of extremist? Well, the answer is no. It's not a definitive idea at all. It doesn't mean they're not. It's just that the answer is not. It's not a prevent issue. Somebody says I'm trans. What if a child says they're trans? Well, it shouldn't take Superman to work out that that's an immediate safeguarding issue, and the government has now recognised that and will ensure that any child taking a trans identity to school becomes part of a safeguarding framework, which means that we can help that child to get the best care they need, which should, of course, be psychological, because the issue is psychological in that respect. Or it's just somebody LARPing, in which case they'll get found out very quickly. Is it a prevent issue? No, not necessarily. It's just likely to be some child playing silly beggars, or some teenager taking on the fad, or it could be a young individual who's very concerned about their sexuality or the fact that they're effeminate or masculine. So it's not a prevent issue, but it certainly is a safeguarding and psychological issue. So what's next? Well, how about this one? Because this is one that gets everybody. This child is trans. You bet that's a safeguarding issue, and you bet that's a psychological issue, not necessarily with the child either. That's probably a psychological issue with the parent or guardian. And is it a prevent issue? Most definitely. Is this child being inculcated into a kind of cult belief system? Is the child being inculcated into what would now be defined as extremism in prevent, in that they are entering into a cult which believes that men can be women, women can be men, and therefore are quite happy to trans the gay away? So in fact, I would say that's all three issues. That's the individual. But what about the collective? This, makes it a bit more straightforward. Here we go. Look, let's have a look at the collective. So this is the collective. As you can see there, I'm trans, I'm a doctor, I'm a policeman, I'm bi. This child is trans, I'm gay, I'm Muslim, I'm Asian, I'm disabled, I'm a teacher. Fine, right? Except, of course, this lot all believe in critical social justice, gender identity ideology, queer theory, critical race theory, and critical environmentalism. So they're the whole shebang, right? Which means that they as individuals don't matter, because what they are doing is collectivism. The collective doesn't recognize the individuals. And with that, they will bring critical social justice rocks. Trans women are women. Trans men are men. We want to queer childhood. The trans child is sacred. You're either racist or anti-racist. I glued my bum to a Monet. Fat shaming is a crime. Trans speciesism now. Kink is the new normal. Decolonize now. Incest for all. We are coming to queer science. My lived experience. Words are violence. I am triggered. So you're talking about a collectivist activity, which then an organization becomes a problem. For example, the LGBT Foundation or Stonewall, I would say, though I'm happy to be proved wrong, are all categorized in this vein as being extremist organizations. You tell me. But from my perspective, it hits all those buttons. Every single one of them. And I would like to know whether you think that I'm correct in this, whether it's the same. So to sum up, it is not who you are, but what you do. Extremism comes in many forms. Critical social justice is just one of many. It's not what you believe in private, it's what you proselytize about in public. If you advocate for equity, you are advocating for overturning liberal democracy. If you are recruiting people for your extremist ideas, then that is a prevent issue. And there we have it. Plenty to get your teeth into. I'm interested to see what your opinion is, because as always, this is presented for your consideration. I'm not saying I'm right. That's the important thing. So please do let me know in the comments wherever you find this, which is probably going to be on Substack, or it could be on YouTube, or it could be on Twitter. You never know with me anymore when I put things up. But that's the nature of the beast. Listen, keep fighting, okay? We need to keep going. This update to the Prevent Guidance 2024 is very interesting indeed. Very interesting indeed. And I think there's something in it, but I will await the wisdom of the crowd. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.